Hi! So we're back with our match rambles, and obviously we're going to start our Forbidden Door 2026 match rambles, and we're going to start it with Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, the expectations, you can see this in the preview, obviously, is I thought the match was going to be very much a simple comeback spot, you know, between Kenny and Zack Sabre Jr., just because that's what Kenny was kind of being presented as in the last few months. And there's not a problem with that. They're definitely trying to gear that for Kenny. There's only so much you can do with him, with not his limitations, but the guy's, you know, he's more out than he is in, you know what I mean? And, like, not a problem with that. He's still fucking Kenny Omega. But Sabre Jr. is just, whatever you do with him, he's just going to prove that he's that good. For me, what I love about this match is they presented it as still kind of Sabre Jr. is... You could tell by just the match, Sabre Jr. is the more fresh, Sabre Jr. is the more agile, whatever, but Kenny's just... There's the exact... I love when I describe matches, I go, it just needs that little bit oomph, like the little bit more oomph, you know what I mean? Like a little extra bit. This match had that, and Kenny specifically had that, and I love it. And I don't want to talk about Kenny Omega like he's... You know, like, oh, Kenny needs to do this. Like, it's fucking Kenny. He doesn't need to do anything. But, like, this, I thought it was the best. I think Kenny's year this year has been very spotty. I think you've had, like, great matches like the Swerve matches and the Andrade matches. But then the MJF match at Dynasty was okay. It wasn't insane, but it was okay. And it's like, I feel like that's where it's kind of missed it. I feel like, you know, that consistency has been hard for Kenny to have. I feel like this is one of his better matches. If not his best match, it's up there. It's up there with the Swerve match this year. I love it. For the start of it starts very technical, and I thought that's the match we were going to get, where Kenny was going to try for the technical bout, but then obviously Sabre Jr. was just going to school him. But then it goes to the table. And when it goes to the table, that's when the match kind of kicks on to become what it is, and that's a bit more of a brutal fight. And yeah, Kenny goes to do this drivers through the table, and Sabre Jr. reverses it and goes, I'm okay! Stuff like that. But I really do like how, one, Sabre Jr. Sabre Jr. still has that cockiness, that arrogance, you know, that domination-esque, but he isn't, it isn't so one note. It feels multi-layered, and it's not like distracting where, you know, where you get matches where the heel's more cocky, and then, well, the heel for Sabre Jr. in this case, but you know, he's cocky, but he's not downplaying Omega, and I love that. I really do. I just love that it's more presented as Sabre Jr. knows how good he is, you know what I mean? Like, Sabre Jr. knows whoever he goes up against is on the ground or whatever, they're not going to beat him, and that's a fact. You know what I mean? Like, Brian's gone, who else is there? But, like, this I loved, because Kenny's knees in this match, every single knee strike is incredible. They're so good. Obviously the V-triggers, but in general, just the normal, like, he does like this. So Kenny does this spot, like, he doesn't need to hit Sabre Jr. when he's getting back in the ring. And then when he does this chop to Sabre, and it's like, fuck me, it's a brutal chop. And then he does this straight up, it's not even a knee, it's just a straight up kick to the stomach, and it just brutalizes. It's a fucking great kick. But, like, there's a bit of domination from Sabre Jr., but not an insane. And then when it becomes kind of back and forth, it's really good. And again, I think you got to give a lot of the credit to, obviously, Sabre Jr. for... Sabre Jr. will make anyone look a star. Not that Kenny isn't a star, but you know what I mean? Sabre Jr. could have a good match with a mop. Same with Kenny. But Kenny here, I think, just benefits from someone as adaptable as Sabre. And that's what I love. I love that. I think what was interesting here is the match's pace. It wasn't electric. It wasn't quick. It wasn't that at all. It was just a good pace, and it did, like, honestly, what I was watching, it was like, this is what I want to see from Kenny. This is exactly what I want to see from Kenny going forward. I love Kenny Omega. Who doesn't? It's Kenny Omega. But, like, the guy, I think Kenny really focuses on trying to replicate his peak, and there's no problem with that. That's, you know, it's Kenny. You can do what he wants. But I like this. I like this in a way of a sort of, it's similar in a way, but it's also still, you know, taking itself. It's not. You look at the match versus Gabe Kidd, right, last year. His return at is it Dynasty? Wrestle Dynasty? I forget which one. The New Japan one. His first match back after diverticulitis or whatever it was called. And I love how in that match, I think that match is okay. I think it's overrated personally. I think it's a great match, but I don't think it was the best match of the year or anything. But I think with that match, Kenny clearly goes all out and just goes to be, you know, cleaner as Kenny, which again, who doesn't like that? But I think it's definitely not sustainable for Kenny. God, no. You look at Ibushi, who's very similar and going all out, and Ibushi's, yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It's true, but it's a shame. And I think with Kenny, he needs to learn from that. I feel like Kenny's going to be sort of the own product of his own, you know, ambition, and that's fine. Ospreay was similar, and Ospreay's developed it similarly, and I feel like Kenny in this match, I would prefer to see, not over that, God, no, I think that, obviously, that version of Kenny is prime, that's his best, whatever. But I like this. I like this version of Kenny where it's so much more focused on the strikes. You've got some great technical chops here, obviously. And there's not a lot of high flying. And I think Kenny, again, he focuses on that a bit too much for me. Not like Kevin Knight level, God no, but like, Kenny does focus on doing these dives and stuff. And I don't think he needs to. I would rather Kenny do these matches at a more consistent rate than him waiting for 3 months or whatever off injury to do these massive Gabe Kidd matches. I don't like that. I would rather see more consistently Kenny, because it's Kenny, you got to savour him while he's here. And I think this is, again, frankly, against someone like Sabre Jr., it's never going to be bad. I cannot emphasize that enough. Sabre Jr. is a partner for anyone. It's same with Brian. Someone who's so adaptable, so technical, can do loads of these styles. Sabre Jr. is that. And obviously he's going to work with Kenny. But I feel like this was kind of a, I don't want to say a test, but like kind of a way for Kenny to go, okay, let me try a few new things here. And then just in terms of the pace and, you know, how much he reserved it, like again, a lot of triggers, like V triggers, a lot more chops for a Kenny match, but then a lot of knees, obviously, and they're really good. He does this brutal standing knee to Sabre, and I really like it. Obviously, Sabre Jr. doesn't go without doing anything, bro. His fucking reversals, I mean, we all know how good they are. He obviously does one. He does a reversal from the one-winged angel, set up to a triangle, which was really good, and that looked like Kenny was going to go out. Kenny somehow breaks that. I forget how he breaks it, and then he basically hits a trigger on that, goes for the one-winged angel, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, the one-winged angel gets the win. Kenny gets the win. But I just think as a match, there was a lot there. A lot, and I think I think people were saying this match of the night. For me, I enjoyed it a lot. I do. I just think it's more interesting and it is good for me. You know what I mean? I feel like that makes a little sense, but that's how I feel. I think it's great. I'm never going to deny how good it is. It's just, I don't want to expect that, but like, Sabre Jr. and Kenny, like, that's never going to go wrong for me. That's never going to go wrong. And especially this version of Sabre, like the kicks Sabre Jr. does, like again, the arrogance, the crowd are singing, "You're a dickhead," and he's loving it. Like, he's got this sadistic nature in him. But I love how even the character work from Sabre Jr., he's very much, like, you can tell the start of it where he's got this, like, you know, like he's on top, and then it more and more deteriorates, and it's like, not that he doesn't take him seriously, but like, I think it sinks in more and more, like, this is Kenny, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of sinks in the weight of who he's against. And I like it's the resilience of Kenny here, by the way. I think it's very hard to do subtlety in wrestling matches, especially character work. I mean, I love how wrestling, you know, obviously is so massive and extravagant. But I feel like in character work, sometimes in matches, it's hard to do subtlety. And I think this one does the resilience stuff perfected in a subtle way. Like, Kenny doesn't have to do these. Like, I love Takeshita. I think Takeshita's the best male wrestler in the world. Personally, I do. And I feel like you look at them, and then you've got how many other wrestlers you can do. But, like, even Darby, for instance, I'm just trying to think of others. But, like, Ospreay's a massive one, Jesus. But, you know, you get all these wrestlers that do these resilient spots that, like, basically, not no seller, but, you know, and just go, rah! You know, like, that's obviously Takeshita. He does, like, the yell and, you know, to defy. But Kenny doesn't do that. Like, bro, he does a lariat. And by the way, a lot of the match, Kenny and Sabre Jr. is targeting this one arm for Kenny. And I thought that was really good. I don't know if it was intentional to kind of limit the one-winged angel. I thought that was intentional, and I kind of like that. So I think that's a genius story way anyway, just of the match. But the lariat he does with the sore arm, oh my god, brutal lariat. Like, so I'm saying, Kenny looks a bit more stiff in a good way. Like, hitting wise, he looks stiff. And I wouldn't be against that. I think Kenny can really, I would like Kenny to keep this direction. I don't, like, don't get me wrong, I'm never going to say, I can't repeat it enough, I'm never going to not want to see D Kenny, you know what I mean? Like the dive and, you know, the constant V triggers, you know, the pace that Kenny does. But, like, I don't even think he does a Snapdragon on this, which is insane. But, like, I feel like for me, this is a really good direction with Kenny. Really good direction. And I think a lot of the times with Kenny, like, especially the last few years now, it's like, he's kind of been in a little bit of a limbo. And obviously they are doing that world title run. I think it'll be him and Ospreay at Wembley. I think for me, with Sabre Jr. in this match, it's just something that I would like to see again. Not with Sabre specifically. I'm not going to say no to that, but you know what I mean? I want to see this with someone else, because it's all well and good doing it with someone so adaptable with Sabre, sorry. But you do this against someone like, I'm trying to think of a wrestler who's like, do this with someone like, I'm trying to think who Kenny could do it against, really. Well, again, the thing is, AEW's rosters, that's stacked, all of them at high quality level, you know what I mean? I was going to say do it with someone like Andrade, but Andrade is like such a level, you know what I mean? Do this with someone like, I don't know, someone, whoever. Just, I want to see this with someone else, because Sabre Jr.'s got that technical edge over everyone. That makes sense. But I think this is really good. I love the reversals. I love the stiffness from Kenny. I would just like this to be a bit more expanded upon. I think that works for me. But everything about it, the subtlety of the resilience, like I say, I love that. I love that. It really sold it without having to be so over the top. And I think it's something I really respect about the match. And again, I don't expect to see from Kenny's subtlety, because I think Kenny's phenomenal, but he's not subtle. You know what I mean? Like, he's not subtle. Not a lot of wrestlers are. Like, but I think he really aims this. I think Sabre Jr. is not going to get a lot of the credit for this, but he damn sure should. Like, Sabre Jr. could come in, have a world title match, and it instantly makes sense. He's that good. Sabre Jr. can do whatever. The guy's insane. But Kenny is clearly the vocal point, and you can tell the work went into that, and I like it. I really like this match. I don't think it was my match of the night, but I think it was the most interesting match of the night. I will say that. I think it was definitely interesting the most. But yeah, great match. Obviously, worth the hype in my opinion, definitely. But Kenny versus Sabre Jr., again, that's never going to go wrong. It's great. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Kenny versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door 2026. Let me know what you thought of the match. Is it your match of the night from the pay-per-view? Do you think this is the way Kenny will be portrayed? And what do you think of it overall? Because I think it was really, really good.